I just got to go over a couple little ground rules for you. So we'll get ready. I'm Jerry Cussin, Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. We're with the city co-hosting this. I'd like to thank Ann Nixon and Kathy Horvath for setting it all up. They've been great to us and great to the candidate forum. I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend. The roots of our democracy really start at the community level. I kind of kid around as a military guy for 30 years, and I say I may have defended the country for 30 years, but I didn't know what democracy was until I started coming to city council meetings. And that's where you really learn it. Because the individuals choosing to seek elected office at this level do so, to me, at the purest form of what this country's about. And that is, they are truly citizen servants here at this level at the city council. And it's you, the citizenry, that's here to listen to their ideas and visions and hold them accountable as they serve through your continued involvement in this community as city council meetings and the Citizens Open Forum. That's where the accountability comes in. And the further you get from this eyeball to eyeball, whether it's the county commission or Tallahassee or Washington, that bridge of accountability breaks down little by little, in fact, by a bunch. So here's where our democracy begins, and here's where your involvement is very important. So thank you for taking your time out to do that. Our purpose tonight is to have you meet those seeking to seek election this year and hear them out. Each candidate or already seated official will have 2 minutes to tell you about themselves and their goals as your representative. Seat 1 candidates will then participate in a forum that will probe more in depth, and we want you to be part of that. The League of Women Voters will moderate the forum and serve as a timekeeper. Marty Falwell, over to my left, will be the moderator. She'll do all the question asking. And our timekeeper, Carol Bickford, sitting right here, will prompt all candidates 30 seconds warning prior to the response being up. And she'll also raise a stop notice when their time has expired. So we want to keep this going. We want to keep this pretty prompt. There are 3 candidates running for office to serve on the city council. And once our introductions have been complete, this will be followed by a round of questions, and each candidate will only have 1 minute to respond to those questions. Questions will be rotated among the candidates to ensure that all get a chance to be the first in the barrel and don't have the chance to be the last and listen to what the other 2 guys said and keep responding. 15 minutes prior to the end of the forum, each candidate will be provided the opportunity to ask the other 2 candidates 1 question. And then finally, each candidate will be provided 2 minutes to summarize their candidacy, and that'll be in the reverse order, which we started to keep it absolutely fair. Some questions have been pre-prepared by the moderator, and also I've provided some, and they have not been shared with the candidates. We'll also take written questions from the audience, and we have the index cards there. I see some of you picked them up. You may have questions in your mind before you came here, but I'll also have the index cards. I'll circulate. If any questions, additional questions raised while you hear the candidate speaking, just wave it to me. I'll get you an index card, and they'll be written. Questions of a personal nature are discouraged. We ask that all questions focus on issues of importance to the city of Oldsmar and the candidate's perspective on the topics of interest. We'll attempt to get all the questions answered as time constraints permit, and we've allowed 1 hour to complete the forum. And to maximize the time, we ask those ending the forum to save their applause and comments till after the forum concludes. If the 3 candidates would go, the 3 candidates are there. There we are. Which one's Mo? We got that, so that's good. So what we're going to start with, though, is our currently elected officials to give them their 2 minutes. And first, we have seated City Council Member Gabby McGee.
As Jerry mentioned, I'm Gabby McGee, one of your current Oldsmar City Council members. Tonight, I just wanted to say I'm honored to serve as your City Council member these past 2 years. Thank you first and foremost to our citizens and voters who elected me, as well as all of my family, friends, neighbors, community members that came out and campaigned for me day after day. It feels great to be on the other side of the seat this evening. I also want to take a moment this evening to thank you all for your vote of confidence in me, for re-electing me to a second term, as well as the other candidates that chose not to run against me. Thank you very much. Extra thank you to you. This has really been an amazing experience. Every day I look forward to being a member of this council. We have an awesome team. We love each other. We respect each other, and we have fun with it as well, but we take a lot of pride in what we do every day for the city. I'm excited about all of the projects that we've overseen in the past 2 years, and of course all of the future projects that are underway. This city is in very capable hands with our city manager, our charter officials, and our city staff. I'm honored to be a representative here, as well as a homeowner, a neighbor, and a friend to each and every one of you. I wish the other council candidates the best in this opportunity, and I know that no matter who is elected, we will continue to have a great team representing the city of Oldsmar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabby. Now we'll turn it over to Dan Saraki, who's seated in seat 2. Just at the last city council meeting, I believe, wasn't it?
Correct.
Correct. There you go.
Thank you, Jerry. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. I am honored to stand here before you as your newest council person. Really honored. I'm very thankful to all the people in the city of Oldsmar that have supported me through this amazing adventure. It's hard to believe, but only one short year from now, this city is going to be 100 years old. The City of Oldsmar Centennial Task Force and the Oldsmar Historical Society is planning a slew of major events in our city. And I want to share some of those with you tonight because I'm excited to be a part of that whole process. First of all, we're going to have 4 Fifth Fridays. Downtown Ari Olds Park, Sunset in the Park. We're going to have live music, food vendors, food trucks. We're also thinking about having a beer tent, and we're really excited about that. On Friday, April 1st, we're going to close State Street, and we're going to have an antique automobile car show. We have people coming from all over the United States with their antique Oldsmobile cars. Some of the hotels are already booked up, so this is going to be a major event. We're also going to offer a trolley service that will take the people here to support the Oldsmar Chamber of Commerce because they're going to be celebrating Oldsmar Days. So we're going to have a trolley service taking the people from here to Oldsmar Days where there's going to be live music and bands. And downtown here, we're going to have one small band and some food vendors with all the cars. The main event is going to be Celebrate Oldsmar. 2 nights, Friday and Saturday, Labor Day weekend. We're going to have fireworks both nights with the lead band, and I'm working with our mayor on this, Ari Old Speedwagon. They are a 70s and 80s rock and roll band, and I was told today by Bruce to get it done. The task force, the Centennial Task Force, is working on a time capsule, and that time capsule we are going to, just got the stop flag. Quickly, for more information on any of this information, go to oldsmar100.com. With that, thank you everyone for all your support. I look forward to working with everyone, with the city, and good luck tonight, guys. Thank you very much.
And then we will have a practice Oldsmar Days, the 99th one, coming up the end of March, and we will definitely have beer and good bands, I guarantee you that. Okay, if we get the candidates, we'll just go in alphabetical order for your 2 minutes, and then we have a drawing to find out who goes first with the question. So, candidate Belcher, if you'd start us off, please.
Jerry, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us, along with the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber. We've got an interesting time. Dan talked about the 100-year anniversary or birthday of Oldsmar, and I think that's going to be a tremendous event for all of us. The car show is, my wife may have trouble getting me home when that happens. In the years ahead, we have a 3-year term for City Council for seat 1. there are a lot of challenges that we're going to face. There are a lot of different situations we're going to have to handle as far as the replacement of certain charter employees, the replacement and upgrade of certain infrastructure in the city of Oldsmar. And also we have other plans in terms of the BMX track that's going to be worked on this year. And we've been told, and it's been announced, that we're going to put together a new master plan for the Canal Park area. I was asked to run by friends and neighbors several years ago, and I was asked again this year, and decided that this was the time that I wanted to throw my hand into the ring and do what I could for Oldsmar. There has been, in my estimation, a great representation in Oldsmar by a great number of different citizens over the years, and I think that a slightly underrepresented group has been those of us with families and children. My particular interest and my particular reason for running initially was the Canal Park project, but over the course of the last 2 weeks, I've met with every department head in the city of Oldsmar and learned amazing things about this city historically, but also about the future. And I think that I can offer you great experience, a sound head, and a drive to get things done for the future of our city. Thank you.
John, if you'd like to follow up.
Oh, yes. I moved here just recently, and we purchased one of the first homes of Michael Normando, and we were attracted to the parks that are here, and we just recently they built the new trail right near us, and we ride on that regularly. And if you're over in our neighborhood, you'll see us. My wife and I will be riding on our tandem bike up on the back trail here that goes up by the boat launch. And there's a lot of future projects coming up that in the town where my background is working with for a general contractor, and they build hotels, shopping centers, wastewater plants, water treatment plants. And you have that here, and there's other types of new projects coming up. And I think with my experience in that, on that and cost estimating for it, I could have good pointers on how to cut the cost down, or maybe even eliminate what you want to do anyway.
Thank you, John. Eric, would you follow up on that, please?
I'd be happy to. First off, I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this tonight, along with the League and the city and all the staff and everyone who's here putting it on, who's still working. We appreciate that. I also want to thank my opponents. It's nice to get together and do this finally, isn't it? Thank all of you for coming out, and to the thousands of people who are going to watch us tomorrow. Let me thank them. I'm going to use the time to tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm a former council member. I was on council back in 2007. I served and had a freak accident with about 5 months left of my term where I broke my neck. And that was the end of me being able to come to council. I spent a lot of time recovering. As you can see, I've recovered, depending on whether you ask my wife or my daughter by how much, I don't know. Today I serve on the city's Board of Adjustments, as well as I'm a trustee on the Firefighter Pension Board. So I've remained involved in the city. I've worked on a variety of other committees, and I have enjoyed doing so for the last 10 years. I'm not new to it. And professionally, my wife and I own a software company that we started. We do business all across the United States, in Europe, and in Asia. We have about 17 employees scattered around the country. I also served as a CEO of a publicly traded company for about 10 years with a budget that was considerably greater than that of the cities, and a staff of about the same amount, maybe a little bit more. I think that these different skill sets, both executive skill sets from a business standpoint, as well as the last 10 years of being involved in the city, makes me the best qualified to do the job of the tasks that lie ahead. And I think that's the reason why Mayor Roniker, former Mayor Roniker, and former Mayor Beaverland and the firefighters have all endorsed my candidacy. But tonight I'm here to ask for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to turn it over to Marty. Did I miss anything on the ground rules, Marty?
No.
Okay, we're good. All right, I have 3 cards here. One of them has a 1 on it. That'll be the first one to go, and then we'll go in alphabetical order from there. So if you'll pick a card, hang on. You have a 1?
I do not.
You do not.
Nope, 1.
You got the 1?
Yeah.
Okay. John answers first.
I don't get to pick?
Yeah. You have a 1?
No.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Equal time, Jerry.
Marty, all yours.
Okay. Candidate Master Markey, serving on the city council and representing your neighbors is a big responsibility. What is your motivation to serve? And what would you say you bring to the table as an elected official? If there's anything you didn't cover in your introductory remarks, you may address them now.
Yeah, my motivation to serve would be to represent the interest of the state of homeowners first, and then on the commercial interest, that helps the tax base for us and them, and also keep them abreast of what is coming up so they could have part of the planning in it, and then listen to what they would be looking for, want to see happen or not happen.
Thank you. Candidate Seidel, what is your motivation to serve, and what would you say you bring to the table?
Thank you. As corny as it might sound, my motivation is I love this town. Ever since I moved here, even before I moved my business here, years before, I actually fell in love with the town. And so and I'll share more on that later, but I think what I bring to the council is we have a critical time right now. I think one of the biggest tasks that we're going to tackle is going to be hiring a replacement for our retiring city manager. That is a task that has to be gotten done right. And I bring a lot of experience both hiring executives as well as a historical view of the council that is changing right now. We've lost Jerry through term limits. Roniker has finished his service, and of course the tragic loss of Janice Miller. So I think I bring that to the table.
All right, Candidate Belcher, and I would just make a little suggestion. I'm asking the questions, but you can address the audience when you answer. So what is your motivation to serve, and what do you bring to the table as an elected official?
My motivation is my neighbors and my family. I've been asked several times by numerous people, why don't you run? And up until this point, it hasn't been an opportune time. Having young children, starting a business 10 years ago, all of those things require certain amounts of time, and I wasn't able to put forth the effort or the time needed for this type of position in Oldsmar that I thought it deserved. In that same regard, I did start a business 10 years ago as a financial advisor. I spend my time with numbers. I spend my time looking at books and reading financials, which I think lends itself to budgets and management of city resources. Prior to that, I worked with large corporations in an advisory capacity through project management, advising companies like Goldman Sachs and Barron Funds, a gentleman named Ron Barron, who may be familiar with some investors. I think that my motivation, again, is my neighbors and my friends, and knowing that the projects that we have coming ahead are important and require a steady focus that I think I can offer.
Okay, the next round of questions will start with candidate Seidel. What have you found out about yourself and the elective process so far? What has been the biggest surprise?
Well, this is my, as I said earlier, I've served on council before, but you know, you're surprised every time. I think you have an opportunity to learn more about you, and frankly, you change. I will say this, and this time around, I've been amazed at how much things have changed in the election process with mail-in ballots. It makes it a much quicker campaign. What I found out about myself, though, is that I have the ability, and I'm blessed that I have the time because of our business, to be able to go invest that extra hour. I'm not as rushed as I might have been 10 years ago. And so it's been very nice, and I've enjoyed getting to talk with some of the newer neighbors who live in the area. And so I think what I've found most is pretty fortunate, and my commitment to the city just gets kind of reaffirmed.
Candidate Belcher, what have you found out about yourself in the elective process so far, and what has been the biggest surprise?
I found that you can never study enough. There's more to know than I think any of us will ever be able to hold in our heads. The election process was interesting to get started. It has been a labor of love since then, and I'm excited about the prospects for the process moving forward. I found that in my time interviewing the different department heads in the city of Oldsmar, I've known the history, but I haven't known the city as much as I thought I did. I think I know the city much more than I ever thought I would, and I actually hunger to know more about the city. Understanding the projects, the infrastructure, and how this city works, I think is a tremendous importance. And I think it is also important at the same time to have an open mind and understand that what has always been is not what will always be. We need to take new approaches and have new ideas to make sure that all of these projects happen the best way possible.
Candidate Master Markey, what have you found out about yourself in the elective process?
Well, I found just in getting petitions on this, you get out to meet the neighbors and find what their needs are and wants, and you find out sometimes that 50% would want this, and the other would want something that disagreed with that. So you can't make everybody happy all of the time, or maybe not even most of the time. But you get. I found meeting some of the people, you sort of find new heroes also. Down where I live, there was a woman who signed for me. She's about 85 years old, and she mows her own lawn.
Thank you. Okay, third question. Candidate Belcher will answer first. Oldsmar's motto is a great place to live, work, and play. Do you believe that motto, and what is the single best feature that makes it true?
Oh, I felt like that question was designed for me. Having small children in Oldsmar, we play all the time. I joke that I'm going to put an RV at Canal Park because I live there for baseball and soccer practices. I'd like to have a bed there if I'm going to sleep. The park system in Oldsmar is tremendous. I think we've done an outstanding job building out the trail, the parks, Memorial Park. I think that where we could improve is actually the maintenance of the parks. I think that there's tremendous potential for expansion and improvement. And I think that the motto is absolutely true. And I think that we can and should do everything that we can to make sure that it remains the motto.
Candidate Master Markey, Oldsmar is a great place to live, work, and play. Do you believe that? And what is the single best feature that makes it true?
Well, I believe it because I do it. We do have that new trail that they did build, and I like to get up early in the morning, go out and ride on the mountain bike over that trail and make the rounds, and then come on down Shore Drive and get back home again. And other than that, I have a small navy of small boats that I take out in the Gulf here, and in that you find an interest in improving the water quality you have out there. I notice in the summertime it will start to get clouded up with algae and stuff, but that's a thing that could be tied in with lawn watering. I know myself, we have the recycled water, and unless you really closely watch that can all be running down the gutter into the Gulf, and it could be part of the problem.
Candidate Seidel, same question. A great place to live, work, and play. Do you believe that? And what is the single best thing that makes it true?
I do believe it, and we're a unique community. We have just over 14,000 people here, and yet 85,000 people drive through it every day. It's pretty amazing when you think about that. And while we're wedged between two big cities, you've got Tampa over here, you got Clearwater over here, and you got Oldsmar right in the middle, and it has character. The people who live here have character. And you know what I love? I love the fact that it's a mix of people. I mean, it really is, it's really quite a mix of people. And I think it's what makes it have that character, right? Because you can choose not to be real involved. And there's certainly citizens who live in our community who don't go get involved in everything. And then you can walk 2 doors down and it's someone who you're gonna see at everything. To me, the most iconic thing that represents Oldsmar is celebrate Oldsmar. If you've ever been out there and the fireworks are going off and you're looking at all the families with the blankets down and the kids looking up, that's Oldsmar.
Thank you. Mr. Markey, what do you see is the city's biggest challenge over the short term, your 2-year term if elected, and what will you do to overcome that?
There's projects coming up immediately that could have a lot of cost to the city and the taxpayers. One, we had a field trip scheduled yesterday, and it must have been a hard thing to schedule because the weather was changing by the minute. And when I got up here, it was a deluge, and the trip got canceled. But I was asking the receptionist down there, one of the things they want to do is replace all of the windows in the City Hall, and that projected cost in the budget is $300,000. And I'm looking at the windows thinking, gee, these are good windows. They're double glazed, and they put reflective film on there to keep the sun back. And it might be something you don't want to do.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Seidel, what do you see as the city's biggest challenge over the short term, your 2-year term if elected, and what will you do to overcome that challenge?
I believe it's a 3-year term, unless it's changed. Anyhow, it's a 3-year term. I'm just being a little bit of humor. You know, I've said it quite a few times, and I'm not going to continue to focus on it too much. I hope there'll be more questions specifically about it. But there's a lot of issues in Oldsmar that come up that are short-term issues that if we make a decision on them and it turns out that maybe the environment's changed or whatever, we have the ability to go back and change that and fix it. And there's issues that haven't come up yet. But there are issues, two that I think are the most important that we have to get right. One is, of course, I mentioned it earlier, hiring a new city manager and what process we go through to do that. I think it's very important. Number two, I think the other issue is going to be the development of downtown. I was on council before when we did the deal with JES and watched it go south, and I have that experience that I bring to it that probably makes me much more conservative in the process, but I believe that that makes a big difference moving forward.
Okay, Candidate Belcher, the city's biggest challenge.
Well, every city is going to have a number of different challenges. I think the more immediate challenges are going to be, as Eric had mentioned, filling the shoes of our city manager. I think that he's served and done an amazing job in his capacity. I think it's going to be a challenge to find a replacement. In my background as a financial advisor, we do business succession planning. It's just, key person succession planning. It's an important thing to do, and it has to be done just right to avoid any hiccups in city services and any conflicts within city services. I think that's a tremendous challenge that we have. I think the town center also is an important project that needs to happen. It's been on the table since I've been here. I think I moved here. I moved here 13 years ago and bought a bungalow on Park Boulevard, right down the street, and have enjoyed living here. And it's always been a project that's been on the ballot. It's always been on the docket. And I think we need to buckle down and get it done. And I think there are a number of ways that we can do that.
Okay, Candidate Seidel, I have questions from the audience that are related to your last comments, I think. It says, what ideas do you have, or what do you think about bringing new businesses into the downtown State Street area? For example, coffee shops, deli, small restaurants, etc. And then a related question is, what will you do to improve downtown and make it vibrant?
It's a great question. I recently served on the Citizens Review Committee for the proposals that we received for development for downtown. And going through that process and having been on council and been part of that process before, you know, there's certain pitfalls you watch out for. Candidly, the proposals that we received, the committee did not feel, and I felt pretty strongly about it, did not address those pitfalls that we found once before. And so I favor an approach that is a little bit different from what that RFP originally asked for, and that is that I think we should identify specifically what we want built versus relying on a developer to bring it to us. And I think from that, we should pick off each piece so that it really gets done this time. Go to people who we've worked with in the city who built hotels, the Tony Menos, the John Buses who've done the mixed living, multi-living spaces, so on and so forth, so we know that we will actually be able to get it completed this time.
Candidate Belcher, ideas for downtown and making it more vibrant?
The Town Center project, as it stands, an RFP or request for proposal was done, and we had 2 respondents. We had 2 companies respond to the request for proposal. This is not an insignificant project. If we only received 2 responses, there's a problem. There's a reason why we only received 2 responses. I think we need to address that, and I think we need to start this and get it done right. If we're not attracting more than 2 developers for a project like that, we've missed something somewhere. And as I currently understand it, the city council is negotiating for a memorandum of understanding with one of the developers. And I'm wondering what the purpose is. Why do that? I think we need to step back, get it done right, get it done finally, and utilize the resources we have here to negotiate and work with the developers. Understand why they didn't participate before, fix the problems, and get the right proposals that we need. I think that Town Center could be a tremendous project, and I think it is just one piece of the overall enhancements of downtown.
Candidate Master Markey, what ideas do you have about bringing new businesses to downtown, and what will you do to improve downtown and make it vibrant?
Well, one thing right off was the upcoming Oldsmar antique automobile get-together that brings the people in, fills hotels, and they find where Oldsmar is at, and a good pattern for that is if Safety Harbor has done pretty good getting people into their downtown, and they just had their big parade about a month ago, and I'd never been to a parade that lasted an hour and a half. It was longer than the Thanksgiving Day parade. But as far as the construction down here, I think on the proposals, if you make it too complicated and you don't sound too sure of what the concept is that they want on that, they're sort of at a loss for direction themselves.
All right, Candidate Belcher, what do you see as the city's biggest opportunity over the term of office, and what will you do to make that happen?
The biggest opportunity is probably one of the biggest reasons why I decided to run for city council. I think that as many of us have seen, we've been pushing dirt around Canal Park to build a new BMX track that's going to be a world-class facility. We have amazing work being done there, and I think that we would be remiss if we did not surround that park with world-class fields for baseball, for soccer, for football, for cricket. Why not make this an entire sports complex to service the citizens of Oldsmar? It's in the past, Canal Park was made some years ago, and it has been systematically kept up, maintenanced. I think it's time to, if we're going to spend the time and the effort in the BMX track, we need to spend the time and the effort with the rest of the park and improving it. Aside from that, opportunity-wise, I think the town center project has languished on, and it's time to get it done. It's time to put our foot down, decide what we want, and get it done. After that, I think that our next opportunities are going to be infrastructure. We have maintenance to do, and I think we need to get to it.
Okay. Candidate Master Markey, the city's biggest opportunity and what you can do to make that happen.
That would be one of them, and I think I would agree with them on that. They have to finalize it and get it done because it's costing so much every year on an annualized basis to just not get it done. And we wait a
Okay, that's it?
yeah.
Okay. Candidate Seidel.
Thank you. You know, you're going to hear like a repeat, an echo in here, because I think clearly it's, I agree with Dan. I do think that Canal Park, we're making a terrific investment and it's going to be good for the city. But the single most largest opportunity we have to have an impact on everybody in Oldsmar is downtown. It is for a multitude of reasons. Number one, if done right, if it's executed and we push it out, and I believe we can do it. I really believe that we've got a council that is on track. I think we can get this done. If we get it developed, it moves some property that starts producing tax revenue, right? So it's not sitting there and not producing tax revenue, and it doesn't cost the homeowners additional in terms of revenue. Lost revenue. Secondly, with a mixed type space, we can also create more employment opportunity. And then the third part of it is from a recreational standpoint, envision a Dunedin light, if you will, or a Safety Harbor light. And so I think that one focus will make a huge impact on our biggest opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Master Markey. The Oldsmar government is essentially made up of three parts: the city council, the city manager, other charter officials and staff, and citizen boards. How do you think this partnership works, and what will you do to strengthen it?
It's a thing of them all getting together in the planning of things before they come up as bills and sorting out the differences in there and working up a final draft on that and coming to a final agreement and passing the bill.
Mr. Candidate Seidel, again, how are the three parts of the city government working, and does it need strengthening? What would you do to strengthen it if you feel it needs it?
Well, I think it does work. I think there's a great opportunity for people to get involved in different either standing committees or to step up and serve on a board when there's an opening. We have some openings typically. You know, I was on city council, and after I left and everything, I didn't feel like I was doing enough. I went and got on an open spot on a board. You know, there's a way for everyone to get involved. And I think the activity strengthens the process for all the moving parts because it's an opportunity to learn more firsthand for the citizens to interact. And then I think our council is very approachable. I think you have an opportunity to call them on their cell phone. You know them. It's that simple. And I think at the charter level and the city staff is very approachable. I do think that there's an opportunity to improve with the next change of leadership, that we can improve some opportunities both for staff and, you know, try some new things for more modern communications with our citizens.
Thank you. Candidate Belcher, the three parts of the city government, and is it working? And do you see a need, and how would you strengthen it?
Well, I've served as a citizen. with the planning board and the charter review board. I'm running for city council, and I've interviewed and spoke with a number of folks as charter employees of the city. I think it's actually a quite good relationship. I think that it has worked well to this point. I think that the opportunity may lie in communication and the working together between the citizen boards and the city council. Having worked on the citizen boards, researched issues, and made recommendations, the communication between the two, I think, sometimes can be lacking. And I think that there is an opportunity for those boards to work closer with the city council to better explain their research, their recommendations, and what they think, why they think that the recommendations are valid. Aside from that, I have wonderful things to say about the charter employees, and I think that the next opportunity on the other side is going to be the opportunity as Mr. Haddock retires, and we have to fulfill his shoes.
Thank you. Candidate Seidel, that's a question from the audience. How many council meetings have you attended in the last year, and do you know anything about the city charter? Name one article.
I'm not sure off the top of my head how many meetings I've attended. I know I've been to probably half a dozen, somewhere around there. I watch them online. You know, I didn't make the decision to run until not too long ago, and so I've always kept involved in watching what's going on at City Council, in part because I serve on other boards. I guess a half a dozen prior to running, so somewhere around there. The city charter, you know, I guess it's pretty broad. I'll take some of the recent issues that I think are more meaningful. I like the way the charter's set up right now, and I'll be very specific on one particular item, that the city manager doesn't have a right to speak at the meetings, that there is a separation between the city manager and our city clerk. I think those are good parts of our charter. I could go on and pick off other little things in the charter, but I'm real familiar with it.
Thank you. Same question for candidate Belcher. Have you attended meetings of the city council in the last year? And can you tell us anything about the city charter?
I fall in kind of in the same situation as Eric. Having lived at parks and at practices, I often miss the city council meetings. I've actually been able to attend more as of late because we've been off season for different sports. But I do tend to watch them online because I have a great interest in what's going on in our city. I think that it is a tremendous resource to have those available online. And I think that those electronic means of keeping up to date are tremendously important. As far as charter, I'll go to the one that we just talked about in the city council meetings in the last couple of months. Provisions within the charter, up until recently, required that 4/5 of the city council make a decision whether or not to maintain or terminate a charter employee. And that was recently changed to 3/5. It's actually, I believe, on a ballot initiative right now. Pardon me.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Master Markey, how many council meetings have you attended or watched in the last year? And can you tell us anything about the city charter?
Yeah, no, my decision to run was just recently, and I watched the meetings online myself. And I found with the online process, you can also go back into the earlier meetings, and there's lots of information of the history of how things got to where they are now. And the thing more recently was there is this separation in the charter between, say, the city manager and the city council. You do have that separation, and I think it's good having a city manager not have to be voted on and have a continual presence, because he has this experience the others can get from him, and he knows the overall history without any breaks in the continuity there.
Okay, Candidate Belcher, that last question from the audience kind of leads into this next question. What do you know is your job as a city council member, and what do you think you can do to promote the city? And how do you think you can make it more well-known in circles that are important to make sure the city is included in all regional plans?
I know that my job as a city council member would be to address current issues and make decisions on the direction of the city in terms of priorities for different departments and charter officials. My efforts to make sure that the city is marketed and made a part of regional issues is right now we have a number of companies that are owned or have regional offices in Oldsmar. I would work with them. Many of them already have national or international presence. Why not? Why couldn't they share the benefits of working in Oldsmar? Why can't we help them share those benefits? Aside from that, there are a number of trade shows, a number of publications for sharing the benefits of cities, but really, word of mouth, I think, tends to be a tremendous benefit. Working with the existing companies here to better communicate the benefits of living in Florida, of being 15 minutes from the beach, having a tremendous employee base can be realized just through working with those existing companies.
Thank you. Candidate Master Markey, what do you know would be your job as a city council member, and what do you think you can do to promote the city so it's more widely known?
I think the way you could promote it is have more events like they are having, and in that it gives you access to people from outside the area. I noticed when I was petitioning, I went up to the parks we had, and I found that most of those people were actually from, say, 20 miles south of here or 20 miles west or north, and there were not as many local people as you would think, but just by going up and greeting them and all of that and make them feel welcome, you get that exposure where it's a place there where they'd want to be.
Thank you. Candidate Seidel.
Thank you. The City Council's job is to establish policy. It's to also establish strategic goals. It is also has a responsibility to hold our charter officials, our city manager, accountable for their performance. You know, it's kind of the senior executive level that establishes, or the board of directors of a corporation, if you will. And I think that the staff becomes the operating team that executes them. I also think that clearly the city council, and this is something I, like anybody on council, gets feedback about at times, is the city manager's boss. And sometimes we can't lose track of that. While they have excellent input, they're not always right. As it relates to promoting the city, I think it's key and really important, and it goes unrecognized a lot of times by our citizens, how much our city council people get involved in the regional planning board or Pinellas Transit Authority and some of these other regional. I served on PSTA when I was on council before, and it helps us get in plans that are regional by being there.
Candidate Master Markey, it's another question from the audience. What are your thoughts on sustainability, green initiatives, ecotourism, et cetera?
Well, when you do build the parks, you do have to maintain them, and they've done a good job of that so far. And what was the other part there?
Sustainability, green initiatives, ecotourism.
Green initiatives are good, but you have to watch. I think it's, when you say green, it's a term that gets overused. We just had green light Pinellas, and people, wow, green, I'm going to go for that and vote for it. But if you looked at it on how it served the public, you had like 1.6% that would be served by that. and it was way over the top, say $200,000 per person served to provide what they were going to do, and it cut people short otherwise.
Thank you. Candidate Seidel, what are your thoughts on sustainability, green initiatives, ecotourism, et cetera?
That's a lot for 1 minute. The city has a great track record of becoming a leader for the city of our size as a green city. I mean, some of the accomplishments are really quite impressive. And that's come with strategic planning and the council being committed to it, and it's required some investment at times. But take a look at our recycling program. I'll use that as just off the top that everyone can relate to. It wasn't that long ago where we didn't have it. And look at it today. I mean, most of the neighbors, everybody's involved in it. And it matters. It really matters for our city. The replacing of the windows, I understand John's concern about the expenditure, but that's actually to make them more efficient. And so there's a return for that ultimately. So it's an investment. And that's the kind of green initiatives that we need. As it relates to the ecotourism, we're looking at the quarry pit. That is an asset that we have. Can we make it into something that can turn to some tourism business? I think there's an opportunity there. I don't know that we know the answers yet, but there are opportunities like that.
Candidate Belcher, your thoughts on sustainability, green initiatives, and ecotourism?
I want to take a different angle on it. I think that there's a focus on the cost of sustainability and green initiatives, and I think that we missed the boat on that. Right now, a large percentage of the dollars that we spend in taxes, both property taxes, income taxes, et cetera, don't stay here. They go to state and federal levels that we generally don't see again. We have an opportunity there. There are grant programs for ecological sustainability, that we can take advantage of to bring those tax dollars back to Oldsmar and benefit our city. If we've already paid the money, we might as well do everything that we can to bring it back. And part of my plan for the city is to bring back something that we used to have, which is a permanent grant office, someone to do the grant applications as well as the grant administration. I think that we can enhance those sustainability issues through those grant programs. The fire department just went through a program where they replaced all the lights with LED lights and significantly reduced their cost in utilities. The library wants to expand and bring solar panels to their roof.
Thank you. Okay, this will be the last question. No, I'm sorry. At this point, I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions, but we have 15 minutes left, and Mr. Custon had requested that we give you each an opportunity to ask a question of the other two candidates. So this, the first one there with that opportunity is Mr. Candidate Seidel.
Well, my question got asked, so I'm going to change it a little bit because I think this is important, and we all agree, at least it appears that we agree, that probably the biggest opportunity and challenge for the city is the completion of the downtown development project, and there's a lot of opportunity. So I'd like to ask each of you, do I go in a particular order? I'll go with Dan.
Stay
He went first.
Alphabetical.
There you go. What specific steps would you take to actually make it happen, and why?
I'll go back to the project as it currently stands. I think that we need to invite all the developers in that we talked to before, which were, I believe, about 7 developers that we talked to before the current proposal process. Bring them back in and find out why they didn't participate. Why did we only hear from 2 of them? I think we have significant resources in our planning and development office, as well as our resources in terms of economical advancement and expansion. We need to use those resources to invite developers we haven't talked to before. We need to expand our scope and expand the options and the possibilities for that center. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for the city, for a community center, for enhanced services, for a number of different reasons. But my primary first step would be to go to these companies and find out, why didn't you participate? What can we do to have you more interested? And make sure that while we're getting their requirements, make sure that we're clear on our requirements as well. And really, we have to set ourselves deadlines. What I haven't seen is deadlines. We need to get things done.
And Mr. Mastermarkey?
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yeah.
What specific steps would you take to complete the downtown development project?
I think you need to have a coherent plan on what you want to do there and what Oldsmar is going to cover. And the thing as it is right now, we're looking, from what I can see in the budget, it looks like we're going to commit ourselves to pay for a $12 million parking garage. Other than that, I saw a thing in there on a convention center. I'm not so sure that a convention center is going to be a thing that is going to have a good payback on it. And I think if you just make it clear and everybody's all on the same level playing field, they'd be more likely to have be able to give you a cost for doing this that made sense.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Candidate Belcher, your question for the other two candidates.
My interest initially primarily was family services, but that's expanded substantially since going through the process of researching this position and all the challenges that we have and all the opportunities we have. But coming back to what originally drew me to this, what are your thoughts and what things do you think that we can do to take Oldsmar and make it a central hub or a hotbed for family and children's athletics and sports and activity?
I think
Either one.
Yeah, no, I think what Oldsmar has done so far, they're on the right track. I think the BMX plan, people might complain about the cost of that, but that's what kids do now. And
yeah.
geez, I'd like to be the first one to ride over there myself.
I'll go with you.
And
What would you do to further grow the activities in Oldsmar?
well, I think you have to further what you are doing already. I know down on my end, you have a park built there, and originally it looked like you're all set, and then they put in a machine that says, here now you have to pay to park, and it's $10 on a weekend. I think that made for an empty park, and it's been since reduced to $5, and the people are coming back.
Mr. Seidel, your answer to that
Thank
question?
you. Good question. A couple of thoughts on that. Number one, and I'm going to break it into two. One is a hotbed for the kids. I would agree with you. I think that there are opportunities for us with the properties that we own to expand some of our athletic opportunities for our kids. Having said that, and talking about bringing them all up to world class, the BMX project is going to be a great test for us because we received $1 million from the state, so we are doing the grant efforts. That project would not have been available. And so when you talk world class, those are the types of investments. So I think if we can execute that well, I think it's an opportunity to look at other areas in sports where we can have, a niche world market that we could go after next. And I ran out of time.
Candidate Mastermarkey, your question for the other two candidates.
Yeah, I would ask if you're elected, in making decisions, you'd be willing to delve into the intricacies of it and research it yourself on what's happening and not just take paid advice from consultants. There are architects and engineers and all of that, but sometimes they don't always have the right answer.
Okay, and the question is?
Would you be able to do your own research in addition to what there is to that? Look online and see what's happening in other areas, in other cities?
Absolutely. My job is research. That's what I do for a living. Wake up in the morning, I begin my research, and I'm researching all the way until I put my head on the pillow at night. Ask my wife. It's actually somewhat annoying, I think. Research is almost a hobby of mine, actually. I tend to over-engineer things sometimes, and to that extent, I think research is probably a byproduct of that. Before I make a decision, I want to know everything I can now. Now, I think that it's impossible to make the best decision 100% of the time, but I think if we make our best efforts and do all the research that we can, both resourcing, using outside resources, but also our own personal research, we have the best opportunity. We can say that we made our best efforts.
Yeah. Candidate Seidel, your answer to his question?
I won't make you repeat the question.
Good.
Sorry
about making
That's all right. No, that's quite all right. Listen, I think that you have to research on your own. That's what people elected us to do, and to be independent and to make our own minds, but make educated decisions. I can tell you when I first served on council, the biggest challenge for me was staying up late, going through the agenda, figuring out what I didn't know on the agenda that I was expected to vote on, and having to research it to make sure I understood it before I cast a vote. Having said that, there are some great resources outside of that. As an example, the Florida League of Cities. It's a great networking opportunity. We talked earlier about promoting Oldsmar beyond or past the city and beyond the region. That's a great place to go and get some different ideas and hear from elected officials what's been done in their city that works. It also will give you a rude awakening of just how advanced our city is when you hear some of the things that they're doing. And so it's a good reality check on the performance of our team as well.
Okay, for closing remarks now, each candidate will have 2 minutes for closing remarks, and we'll go in reverse order from the way we began. So the first person then would be Candidate Belcher.
Again, I want to thank everybody for attending. I want to thank the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber and the League of Women Voters for hosting. It's been a challenge to be kept to a timekeeper. I tend to be a bit long-winded sometimes, so so I appreciate your efforts. This is an amazing opportunity. It's a great experience to run for City Council. Even if you're not running for City Council, the benefit that you get from spending the time with the employees of our city, walking around, talking to your neighbors, and being involved can't be matched. It's a tremendous time in our city with our 100-year anniversary or birthday, for lack of a better term, coming up, with the BMX track, with the Town Center project. They're all amazing opportunities, and I think that we've gotten here with some great leadership, and we're going to make the next step with great new leadership. I think there are opportunities here for new ideas and a new approach that we haven't had before, and I think that I can provide that. I think that thinking, well, not to use the phrase, but thinking outside of the box can be a benefit when we've been stuck in a rut in so many different areas. I think that I look forward, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to serve the city as a City Council member, and put my work ethic and my want and drive to get things done and get them done right to point. I appreciate the competitors, for lack of a better term, being here, our fellow candidates, and I appreciate their insights and their questions. They're all wonderful questions, and I think that we benefit from these opportunities to sit down and listen to each other and learn from each other and really expand our own personal opinions and knowledge. Again, I appreciate the hosting, and it's been a tremendous opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Seidel, closing remarks.
Well, thank you once again to the League and the Chamber and the city and all the staff who had to work late. We appreciate this opportunity, and everybody who attended and the folks who will take the time to watch this at home. I also want to thank my opponents. I've enjoyed it. And I think everyone's running a class campaign, which is indicative of our city. Earlier, I talked about my experience of being on city council and my experience as an executive and those types of things. And I did comment on the timing of my run, but I want to share something in closing about when I left city council. I left city council because a bone fragment from my spine was pressed against my spinal cord, and it was a very, very challenging, difficult process, the surgery, the months of physical therapy, and leaving council early was disappointing. But the fear of not being able to walk was a greater motivator. It was a tough time for my family. It was a tough time for me. And let me tell you what I learned. The calls, the messages, people stopping by, wishing for a speedy recovery, telling my family they were praying for us. That was the citizens of Oldsmar. I never forgot that. And so that's why I'm running. And some people say the city council job's a thankless one. I will tell you it's not. Thank you for listening.
Candidate Master Markey, your closing remarks?
Yeah, from what I've seen in the past, looking at old council meetings, the thing that impressed me was how well everyone seemed to get along, despite that they might have opinions totally opposite of each other, but they were able to work it out at the meeting. And if they couldn't, then they could put it off and research it and come back to it again. Not like it was a drop-dead decision to not have it that night. I think what I see here tonight is if it'd be good if at the state level the governor's election could have gone as good as and the debates of all of that. There was no mudslinging here, and you carry right on up to Washington. And if they could just maybe look down here at Oldsmar and see what's happening here, and it sort of shows the difference between us and them.
Thank you very much. My closing remarks are that you're a very fortunate community, and community is a very important word because you have a wonderful sense of community here, and you have fine people who are interested in being public servants, and whether they're elected or not, it sounds as if all three of them are going to continue in some way to be involved in your community. So I applaud you for that, and you've been a wonderful audience, and thank you, Mr. Custon, and I think we're finished.
I think we are. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for the staff for setting up, and thanks for Marty and Carol and the League of Women Voters for doing it. And this just reminds me, and I think what you said, Eric, at the end. In the end of this thing, it's all about relationships. If it's not about relationships based on trust and integrity, why even get up in the morning? And I think that's what we have in the city. I kind of kid around with it. Oldsmar is small enough where everybody can know each other. That's the good news. The bad news is it's small enough everybody does.
I had one more thought, and that is we had a couple of audience questions that we were unable to get to. I don't know if the gentleman would be willing to just stay around for a little bit so people could go up to them and ask them those questions.
But again, as John also said, this is where democracy starts. And it's the passion and the involvement of the citizens that make it happen. That's where the accountability is. So now's the time we said, wait for your applause. When you applause a candidate, applaud yourself for coming out tonight. Thank you very much.
You signed my petition, and I signed yours.